For the Sean Strickland fight, I made the video of how Sean Strickland could beat Israel Adesanya. Israel Adesanya is debatably, I think he's the second best middleweight ever to fight in the UFC. Phenomenal fighter. I knew that there was a possibility that Sean Strickland could win. I thought there was going to be a lot more wrestling involved for him to win. If you saw his interview, obviously he thought he was going to be wrestling more to win. It was an amazing display of boxing. I would love to see Sean Strickland actually do some of the wrestling, but that's not what this video is about. I wanted to display how Sean Strickland is the ideal, the way he embodies and the way he is would be a perfect special forces soldier. Everything he does, his attitude, the way he acts, he would be ideal for special forces. Someone that is very similar to him. So what do we have from Sean Strickland? Here's a guy that 5 years ago, he was in a life-threatening motorcycle accident. We know that. He's been very open about it. We knew that the doctor said he probably would never fight again. He grows up in a very difficult household. He talks openly about the abuse from his father. And, here we have 5 years after that accident, he's got the middleweight championship belt wrapped around, which, he'll say openly, I don't care about it. It's not for him. It's just another day at work. He generally enjoys fighting. He really likes it. So what did he do when he was out there for that fight? Every single time that Israel was throwing, he threw back. Every time that there was a strike, he countered. And it wasn't like it was like Izzy was throwing, here's a 50% of the time, 65. No, 100% of the time, Sean was countering in there. And he bit down, he got in there, and he kept it close. He did not allow Izzy to get any sort of distance. He kept him on the heels, playing like a mouse, running away the whole time. And I'm telling you, Izzy's a phenomenal fighter, and if anyone that wants to negate and say that he's not, I'll happily debate that. So how is he? How is Sean? Sean Strickland, he's loud. He's not shy about his opinions. He'll be open, sometimes a little bit outrageous. But what did he do? How did he get into this fight? He took it on short notice. Izzy apparently championed for him to come out there. I think Israel went in there too confident, too cocky, like he did in the Pereira fight, where he got the first fight, where he was overly confident. He was not expecting it. Dricus withdrew because of that foot injury from his last fight. He took it very short notice. So behind the scenes, did he have doubts? Absolutely, and he's been open about that. He's not going to sit there and say that Izzy's not a phenomenal fighter and that he couldn't beat him in another day. That's just not how Sean is. He's actually pretty humble. So what makes his qualities that would transfer over to someone like in the special forces community? And I'm not saying Sean's never going to join that, but someone that is like him. So physical fitness, first off. You have to be physically fit in the special forces community. He is phenomenal. His conditioning, the rigors of the job that is involved in that, long periods of physical exertion, but you have to be able to go beyond that. He talks about during his conditioning and training for the Israel Adesanya fight, Sean Strickland was going for 25-minute rounds. What's that, an hour, 40 minutes? Not the best at math, but something like that. That's crazy. That's for anyone that's ever wrestled or done any sort of fighting, that level of exertion is pushing yourself beyond a breaking point. He didn't look gassed at all after a 25-minute fight versus, you look at Izzy, who was beat up and maybe there's an injury that we don't know about yet that happened or, during training or something. But it was amazing. His level, where he was at physically. Mental toughness goes right into their special forces community. You have to have that. Sean Strickland can sit there. He can handle that high stress environment, situations to be mentally just resilient. Like you can't give up on yourself at all. And a lot of that, even though you have these guys that, maybe they're world-class athletes, don't have that mental fortitude to keep going. Sean Strickland is one of those people. He has that mental ability to do that. Intelligence. Now, Sean Strickland's talked about, what does he have, a GED or something? A degree doesn't necessarily mean you're smart. You have to have that ability to learn in a changing environment. I mean, you look at what Bill Gates he dropped out of college, and it's like you don't need to have a degree to show that you're smart. It's not a requirement, and happily debate anybody that says you have to have a degree to show you're smart. I'll happily champion against that. You don't need to have that to prove anything. I don't care what you say about Sean being unintelligent. he has that ability to learn, and that ability to learn, make those quick decision moves. Here's a guy that on only a couple months' notice takes this fight against someone that has the best fighter IQ right now in the middleweight division, and he beat him. So interpretation skills. So you have to have that ability where you can work efficiently with others, from multinational teams, communicate effectively in the special forces community. Sean Strickland obviously has friends. He has a guy that he has been that's been part of his team since he was 14 years old. He's in his 30s right now, so clearly he can get along with people. And sometimes that ability, just having friends that can get along with you for long periods of time. Adaptability, the ability to change, think on the fly. Special forces, super important. What can Sean Strickland do? Well, here's a guy that comes off. He had a loss. He lost to Perea. Yeah, absolutely. And he came back and won, and now he's winning again. And what does he do? He goes to the guy who beat him, the guy who knocked him out, for advice. He goes and trains with him and has that ability to be like, hey, what can I learn from you? And finally, technical skills. Obviously, special operators need a lot of technical skills. They have to be proficient in a wide range of things. Think about it short and concise of how Sean Strickland's directly involvement. First off, how his character transfers over to the special forces community and anyone that's like him. There are not a lot of people that can do that. It's a very small community for a reason. So, humble. You have to be humble. You got to be professional in your craft. He is the ultimate professional in there. And then we get into aggressiveness. Sure, in the special forces community, you have to be aggressive. Here's a guy who loves fighting. You can't teach that. That is something that is, hey, he grew up. You have to be aggressive in there. Being a good team player. Up next, Sean Strickland obviously has a phenomenal team set with the Couture team in Vegas that he fights out of. He gets along with those guys. Getting into, he obviously has a sense of humor. The guys that are in the special forces community, I'm sorry, they have to have a sense of humor with all the things that they're doing, that they can get along. Next, focused and attentive, not only to their operations that they're going on, but anything else outside. They link together as a family. They have to thrive in that initiative with its self-reliance, maturity, and finally being effectively full of being resourceful. Sean Strickland would be a phenomenal member of the Special Forces community. He will, I'm sure, never join. He would never need to. A lot of those, but people that are out there that are like him are a minority for those reasons. Sean Strickland would be an amazing Special Forces soldier, and I was obviously I made that video of how Sean Strickland could win, and he did before, and it was incredible. Please, guys, let me know what you think. It would be an honor, to meet him one day and just sit there and talk to him. I think he seems like he'd be a pretty down to earth guy. Yeah, he's loud. He says some crazy things, but I think he's actually probably a pretty cool guy if you got to know him.